Hello, welcome back to my channel. So today's a video. It's kind of a request from my little brother. Shout out Jerome. This one's for you. So basically I'm here to give you guys some tips and tricks on, the do's and don'ts when it comes to going to middle school. So I'm gonna give 5 tips and I'll try to come up with 5 different tips because middle school is really just a transition phase between elementary school, where you have no rights and no freedom, to high school, where you could just walk out of class and you can literally drop out after grade 9. So I mean, I'll do the best that I can. So, middle school. I have not been in middle school in a long time, so thinking back to my middle school days, it was pretty boring, to be honest. Nothing really happened. The middle school that I went to, though, was really ghetto, so there were fights like every day. But other than that, middle school was a pretty boring time for me just because it was, like I said, a transition phase. It was like you kind of have freedom, but you don't have full freedom. So it's kind of an iffy stage, if you ask me. So the first tip that I would have is to involve yourself in extracurricular activities, just because I know you hear it all the time and everyone says it. I didn't believe it until I actually went into middle school, and the first year I didn't join any sports, but then after that I decided to start joining sports, and it really helps you get friends with similar interests, and it kind of builds a community within your little team. It's pretty cool, and you get to skip classes to go to tournaments, so that's a bonus. The second tip that I would give is to be yourself. I'm a very weird person, and I was even weirder before. I might not seem weird anymore, but I am. I was way more weird before. And honestly, you need to embrace who you are, because you'll eventually find people who are just as weird as you or even weirder. And if you decide to fake who you are and you find friends being that fake person, you'll have to keep up the facade and wear the mask for the rest of middle school experience. And it's not fun. You'll get tired of it. You'll start hating school. It's just not worth it. Personally, I'd rather have no friends being who I am than have a million friends and have to fake who I am every single day. That's just not worth it, Tip number 3. This is a tip that you should take with a grain of salt, just because some people might take this tip and then blow it out of proportion. But honestly, I thought grades were everything. I'd get a C and I'd cry when I was in middle school. Honestly, in middle school, grades are not everything. Yes, work hard. Yes, do the best that you can. Yes, strive to get a high mark. But if you don't, and if you get a C, it's not the end of the world. The universities aren't gonna say, remember that time that you got a C in grade 6? No, they don't care. So honestly, at the end of the day, it's better to use the marks that you get and get tutoring for them. Like, if you know you're struggling on a certain subject, then get help for that subject. So when you're in high school, you're not carrying on the limited knowledge and the struggle. Number 4, just because you're in middle school doesn't mean you have to know what you want to be right off the bat. A lot of people put pressure, a lot of parents put pressure on their child, like, okay, now that you're in middle school, you have to think about what you want to be when you grow up. And that is far from the truth. Middle school is really your time to just discover the subjects that you like. Do I like math more? Do I like science more? And to really develop the skills that you need to be more independent and have better work ethic. And it's not the end of the world if you know that you don't want to be a firefighter by grade 6, 7, 8. It's not. So don't put too much pressure on yourself in that aspect. This is the last tip. Number 5, I would say, because I still struggle with this to this day, so you know, I can relate, and I have finished middle school, I finished high school, but I can relate to this tip. Honestly, don't be afraid to raise your hand and ask questions, or don't be afraid to go to the teacher after class and say, hey, I don't really understand what you said here. Can you like elaborate on it for me? Because honestly, it's not that I'm afraid to do it, it's just that I forget to do it. And a lot of things would be clarified if I just asked there instead of going back home and then try to figure it out myself. So I would say don't be afraid to just put up your hand, because trust me, I remember being in middle school, everyone's in the same boat, and when you ask the question to the teacher, I guarantee at least 5 different students are going to come up to you like, oh, what did she say? Because they're afraid themselves to go up to the teacher. So these are my tips. I hope, you enjoyed them. I hope they gave you some insight. Jerome, I hope this helped you a little bit, because I know you're kind of nervous to go into middle school, but don't be. These are the best days of your life, as everyone always says. So enjoy, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.